Good morning, art friends. We are back for week 2 talking about our Georgia O'Keeffe art piece. Remember, she's known for drawing and painting different elements in nature, such as flowers, landscapes, animal skulls, and she traveled the country and lived in different places and was inspired by different artists. So, I told you that last time we were drawing our flower, and remember, she likes to zoom in big in the middle on her flowers, so that's why we drew the middle pretty big and the flower off the page. Now it's time to add color. So we've been learning about color schemes. We've been talking about warm and cool colors the other week, and so you get to choose whether your flower is going to be a warm color flower or a cool color flower. So grab your paper. You're gonna need a just regular, also just plain sheet paper. I folded in half. I'll tell you what we're gonna use for this in a minute. And then some chalk pastels. Now, if you don't have chalk pastels, there's a second video that I'm gonna put on this slide of showing you how to shade and color pencil, and it'll get you a similar technique. But if you have chalk pastels or want to get some, you can get them at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Walmart, in the arts and crafts section. They're fun, but they're messy. So I'll show you on one petal what it would look like to do a warm color flower, and on another petal what would it look like to do a cool color flower. So I'm going to be talking while I am coloring in my flower today. I'm going to start with warm. So remember, my warm colors are yellow, orange, and red. That's not red, there's red. All right, and so I'm gonna start, remember, when you use chalk pastels and you have a darker color, you don't need to press very hard. These really, you barely press anything and you're able to blend with your fingers. So we have this piece of paper right here to protect our hand from the paper, okay? We don't want our hand to blend all over. We're gonna use our fingers to blend, and we wanna keep a nice clean workspace. So I'm gonna start by adding orange first. It's kind of a medium color. It's not too bright, not too dark. And oh, look at that. It looks dirty. It's because it's been sitting with all my pastels. So what do I do if my pastels are dirty? Here's a tip. Open up your paper and you can clean it off. Easy, easy. All right, now that my pastel is clean, come back here and put some orange in there. Barely pressing down, not very much, not very hard. I'm gonna come and get my yellow. Okay, remember my yellow's dirty, so I gotta clean it off. Cleaning it off inside. All right, now I keep my hand underneath this paper to protect it from getting all messed up, all messy. So I put some yellow kind of going from the top too. Okay. Now that I have both on there, I use my fingers to blend. So I'm gonna come in here, and I'm not using all three. I'm actually gonna use just one. So I'm gonna come here. It's easier for me to blend out starting from the center, going out, because that's where that directional line's going. It's telling our eye to look out from the flower. So I'm gonna come here, blend, blend, blend. It kind of looks all the same, right? My orange was pretty close to my yellow, so I may come back in here, get my darker orange. I always start with my lighter colors, remember. It's easier to not get too dark yet when you use a lighter color. It's hard to make a darker color go lighter. So I'm gonna come in, do just a couple strokes. Didn't press very hard. I got my finger, and I'm gonna blend out. There we go, got the extra dust. You don't want a lot of dust on there. Okay, there we go. So I've got my petal. Now, if you wanna do some extra shadowing, here's a tip. So, not only did we talk about warm and cool colors, But we also talked about a group called complementary, okay? Remember, complementary colors are colors that lie across from each other on the color wheel. Well, when you are using complementary colors and you can mix them together, they create a really nice natural shadow. So I did orange and blue is its complement. So I'm actually gonna do right on my line a blue highlight. All right, blue shadow, I mean. So I'm coming here. I'm gonna come right there. I'm gonna fade it out. All right, now it still looks a little bit more blue than I would have wanted, so I'm gonna come back with my orange a little bit on top. Just go on top of it. There we go. There's that kind of brown tone I wanted. What's the beauty about chalk pastels is you're able to kind of go back, revisit mistakes, add to it. You really can't take away, but you can always add to. All right, so if you wanted to do warm, you would just keep going all the way around. I'm gonna do a cool color example right now, so I'll do it right next to it. If you're gonna do a cool color flower, our cool colors, remember, are purple, blue, and green, all right? So I think I'm gonna do a purple and blue flower with green accents. So my blue is kind of my lighter color, so I'm gonna start with my blue, and I'm going to clean my pastels again. All right, actually I will do the cool color one on a different flower for you so you can see. All right, so I got my other picture. I'm gonna start here. Remember, I've got my protective sheet. I've got my fingers. My fingers were dirty from my yellow, okay? So I'm gonna use a different kind of clean finger for this next example. So I come right here. I'm gonna go blue. And then I'm gonna do some purple accents at the bottom. And I have like a folded petal, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna come in here. If you don't wanna blend with your fingers, Q-tips is another really cool blending tool. So I'm gonna come up here. And I'm gonna blend in my pastels. Remember, we're not pressing too hard on these, right? You don't want a lot of chalk dust built up because it makes a huge mess, and you know Miss Birkin doesn't like messes. I'm coming with my green. I wanted to kind of add some green shadowing, a little bit darker. So I'm gonna come behind my petal right here. If you ever feel like your fingers are too dirty, you need to wash your hands, you can always get up, wash your hands, make sure your hands are dry before you start blending again, okay? All right, come here. Nice. All right, now remember how we talked about complementary colors here a second ago? Well, so we did like blue and green at the top. So I remember my green's complement is red, so I'm gonna do a little bit of red. Not much, just a little bit. I just did like a couple lines. You can barely see. Ooh, and it made something a little bit darker and more natural for my shadow. That looks really good. So I would just keep going all the way around. Once I do all my petals, you can do the center. So the center can be however you'd like. If you want it to look realistic, may I suggest a brown? You could do kind of a brown center, or in this case, you don't want to do totally black. So I would do kind of a brown, very lightly, and just kind of play around with the colors. I'm gonna do a brown, and I'm gonna do some purple in there, I think. Some purple highlights. And I may do yellow in there because yellow is its complement, so it may make some cool shadowing, which is what I like to see. And then once you are all done, you're like, Miss Bergen, how do I keep the chalk from like dusting off or getting all over everything when I want to hang my painting? I mean my art piece. Well, a good tip is usually we use something called fixative in art class, but since we don't have fixative at home, you can actually spray your art with hairspray and it'll do the same exact thing. So I'm going to show you my finished product here on the next slide, and I can't wait for you to join me. See you soon.